my daughter cold called the Allison in the summer of 2015. It was a cold call. I want you guys to understand that. It was a flat out cold call. She actually answered the phone, which is exciting. And then we met for coffee, and my script that I always tell them, right? I'm much better looking in person. We've got to meet in person. That's one of my jokes. Okay. I look a little bit like Richard Gere or, what was it other? Robert Redford. I used to use all that all the time, but it never works. Then I come in and they go, ooh, what are you looking like? But she, and then a couple years later, some guy named Don Hobbs. You guys might remember Hobbs Herder. Anybody remember that? Clap your hands. Hello. Probably the top marketing company, and Glenn, a few years ago, they started dating, and Glenn got up on stage and he goes, Gene, not me, in front of everybody, he says, we have the Don Hobbs. So I got news for you. His name is just one of the best trainers I've ever met. Good friend. Let's hear it for Don Hobbs and Alice Gaddy. Come on, Allison.
Oh my gosh. Level up. Well, Don and I drew straws in the back, and I won, so I get the honor of introducing both of us, and I'll do it in three short sections because we gotta stay with the time. So first, a little bit about him, a little bit about me, and a little bit about us. Gene covered the part about Hobbs Herder advertising, and what's really cool is that Don was responsible for changing the industry in a very big way, because before Hobbs Herder, he was the first speaker ever at Keller Williams. And before Hobbs Herder advertising, it was really all about the gold coats and the balloons and whatever company you were with. And he came along, their company came along and really said it's about the agent. He started his career also with this little bitty guy named Tony Robbins. And that was before Hobbs Herder advertising and Jim Rohn. So a little bit about me. I've been in real estate for 15 years. Yes, I fortunately got the call from Nicole in summer of 2015. And what's interesting is the two of us knew each other. And I had to make a couple really hard phone calls. One was to my dad, one was to Don. And of course he says to me, if I knew you were leaving the family, I never would have championed your career the way I did. And well, he wasn't really that mad because he actually ended up surviving 150 first dates. So your first recruiting tip, your first agent attraction tip is stay persistent.
Persistence.
Persistence pays off, right? And anyway, we moved in together, and we were living less than a half a mile from the Keller Williams International building while he was working there. Still Gary Keller's partner with Maps Business, and I had made the move to EXP. So that was fun. I was not real sure how I was going to pry him out of there, but my mic drop moment is I recruited Don Hobbs away from Gary Keller. Bam. So get inspired. That is the first. Are you running the slides or am I?
No, I'm running slides. You want to?
Go ahead.
Can I say something before we do that? So a couple things before we do. First of all, obviously we love being in front of any of our EXP groups, and my past has been very rich, very long in real estate. I go back to the beginning of Century 21, the beginning of all the big companies. Really, we watched them all grow up and all of that. So I've got some perspective. I certainly want to share some of that with you. I want to go back to when I met Glenn, and I'm hanging out where Gene was just talking about. We actually had met before because he had actually attended one of my programs back in 2006. But when I thought I was meeting him for the first time and we were taking some pictures, one of the things, and the reason that he brought that up on stage was because I said to him, I have witnessed the growth of every major franchise that has ever been. And I said, the stuff that we're seeing right now in EXP isn't growth. I said, it's like a freaking movement. And I remember he got up on stage and said, Don Hobbs said it's a movement. But I'm telling you guys, you understand that this is really more than just growth. There's nothing explainable about 73,000 agents when 4 years ago we were at 2,500 agents, right? There's nothing explainable about that. There's no reasonable way that could happen. So what we have to understand is that we're part of a movement. The question is, how big do you want it to be? And we are the ones that get to dictate that. So one of the things that I'm going to just do before I drop it back to Allison is this. When a year ago, or just over a year and a half ago, when we picked up Success Magazine, I got a chance to play in that arena. One of the things that I love about what Glenn stands for is personal development. It is the foundation. So I started my career with Jim Rohn. If you know Jim Rohn, you know that that was foundational for what he says. So I'm listening to Glenn say we're a personal development company. I'm thinking, if you really want to understand how to grow, it's not about just the numbers. It's not just about calling people. We don't attract what we want. We attract who we are. So we have to start thinking about how do we elevate ourselves? How do we level up us? How do we start to develop and grow us? So we're going to talk more about that today because, listen, we've sat through 3 days of awesomeness. Would you agree? Yes. We've already gone through scripts and dialogues and all kinds of stuff. We've got lists. We've got everything we need. What do we need? We got to get our heads right. We got to put our heads in the right place and get ourselves leveled up to the point that we're making the calls we need to. With that, I will hand it back to you.
I was going to say,
And then I will change the slide.
get inspired. You've got to get inspired, because if you don't believe, if you're not inspired, nobody else is going to believe what you're trying to tell them. So understand really where you are, what opportunity that you have in front of you. Understand the proximity to the people that are absolutely incredible in this room that you've gotten to hang out with the last few days that we all have to support us. Understand that opportunity. Be inspired by the future that you never had, by the possibilities, by opportunity. I mean, the real question is, are you taking advantage of absolutely everything that EXP has to offer, or are you just kind of taking the scraps and hoping to to just get a few people in the door, maybe a couple people cross your path? Are you really going after it and really believing? If you guys think about the opportunity that we have to get paid the owner's money and grow a real estate business without putting your own capital down, this opportunity is hands down one of the best opportunities that real estate agents have ever had. So let that inspire you, know that. And as Art Williams said, just do it, just do it, just do it.
I love that. Yesterday, I was sitting back there going, I've seen this guy speak so many times, and he just blew me away. It's like, just do it, just do it, just do it. And I think to a large extent, that's what we have to do. Wayne Dyer talked about getting inspired. He talked about in spirit. In spirit means, when you're from the inside out, right? And for all of us, I think we've got to really go to, what are we putting out? Brent said earlier, energy. It's all energy. It's the energy we portray. You talk to a person, you sound flat, they're flat. They ain't coming. You come across, you're excited, they're excited. They want to be part of that. Everybody wants to be part of energy. Everybody wants to be part of something bigger. Everybody wants to be around people who are moving. That's why bringing them to an event like this can be so powerful. If you get around this group and you go, I don't think so. I mean, like, well, go, get out of here. We don't need you, right? I mean, you're not a fit. So I think today we've really got to work on this idea about getting inspired, and the next part is about being inspiring. So first we have to internalize it, then we have to turn it around and put it out to other people.
So you got to know that the speed of the pack is the speed of the leader, and it's really important to inspire leaders in your organization. Remember, unless they're on your first level, unless you brought them in directly, someone else brought them in. They're the ones that led them in. Remind your team, remind your people that it's not you they're following. So raise the leaders up in your organization. How do you do that? With that connect with them on workplace. Let them know things that you learned here. Invite them to events. I mean, we've said that over and over and over. Include them and let them know that you're watching, that you miss them when they're not there, that you notice that they didn't show up. People want to know and understand that they're important, and it's not just you. And the more you do that, the more your organization is going to grow throughout with leader after leader after leader.
I think the other part about this being inspired and then inspiring. So think about it. Where are we? One of the questions I've asked so many of our EXP audiences, do you understand where you are? I don't mean like in Puerto Rico. I mean, you got that part figured out. Where are you? Where are you in history? So Century 21 came along, ruled the world. They had gold coats for everybody, right? Then along came this 100% company. And in fact, Gene and I were talking about doing a video on the history of this thing because it's pretty amazing to watch. But if you understand where you are in history, if you understand where we are, why the agent is so important today, why Glenn's gift to all of us is this is for you. This isn't for the franchise, or this isn't for the franchisee. This isn't for the owner of the company. By the way, if you can get around the association with these people and not feel the power of where we are, if you can't see that, you're really missing out. And I want you to think about something. If you don't get fired up, I mean, I'm thinking about 3 days. And I came in the first day, and there was a part of it was like, we show up to these things because we need to show up for these things. And I got to tell you, it's 35 minutes from our house to here, right? So it was like, all right, so we'll go, and it'd be good. I mean, Brent, James, Gene, I mean, it's like going to be good people. So we'll just go. And I'm thinking, but I've heard these people. And then the first day, I'm like taking so many notes. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I listened to Jay yesterday, and I thought, I've heard Jay so many times, and I've never heard anything he said yesterday. And what I realized was if we get fired up, we get really inspired, we get really fired up. And by the way, if you're not getting fired up, your wood's wet. It's a Texas thing. That's where we came from, right? Your wood's wet. So ultimately, guys, you have to understand that we are the energy. We've got to be inspired, and we've got to inspire. We are the ones that are taking the message. This isn't a franchise. We are the franchises. We are the people. We're the regional owners. Allison just said, we're getting owners' money. I honestly believe we have people that are in this room right now that will make more than Gary Keller will make this next year. I actually believe that's true. And I believe over the next few years, we will see people that have made money, more money than anybody in real estate in history. And that's not happening at Keller Williams. That's not happening at RE/MAX. That ain't happening at Coldwell Banker. It's not happening any place except one company. So do you understand where you are? That was pretty weak. Do you understand where you are? So be creative. That's the next part. How do you be creative? It's interesting, we don't think about us having to be creative, but if you think about Brent, I mean, part of the inspiration for him, we're neighbors, so we get to hang with him. I remember when I first met him, and I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. And I just wanted to be around him. Now I get to hang around with him quite a bit, so we feel really honored, really special for a mere moment in time. We just moved about a mile away, but for a mere moment in time, we were about 80 yards from our door to his door. Right? So, and he came over and he said, I'm the neighbor that's going to come over and get coffee or borrow milk or something. And sure enough, like day 2, there he is, right? So, but what's fun about that is you think about how creative he's been. These events are a brainchild. I mean, who thinks like this? The events that we're in now, that Gene and Brent and James are putting on, and thank you, Rob, these events, this isn't Glenn's work. This is the brainchild of these guys. This is creativity, right? This is imagining something far bigger. This is thinking beyond what the agent wants to do. And here's what I want you to think about. What's your vision for, what's your idea of, what's the creativity for creating the company that you can build? Because this is your company. What is it you're going to imagine? I love the fact that you're doing events, and that 3 weeks after the big event, you go do your own event. That's called creativity, right? What are we going to do? What's next? What's next? What's next? Brent stands on stage yesterday, shows his paper, says, I don't have a clue who the speakers are for these 12 things. Don't have a clue. That's creativity, right? In marketing, we say perception becomes reality. Guess what he did? He created perception. I'm going to that event. I don't know who's speaking. Well, the bad news is he doesn't either. But he's just doing it because he's thinking in creative terms, right? So I want you guys to really think about the creativity that you're coming to the business with. Don't just do the same old, more of the same, get you more of the same. That's not going to make it. You got to go beyond that. You've got to think beyond that. You've got to get into it. Does that make sense? Yes or yes?
All right, so you have to know your why. Otherwise, you're not even building towards anything. You're just building for the sake of building. So I really challenge each one of you to really get down and drill deep and understand exactly why, because it gets hard, and you're not going to have the perseverance to sustain, whether it's a challenge, or the person you thought was gonna come over that didn't, or whatever happens. It's not easy growing a real estate company. And so when you know your why, you're gonna be able to get through anything, and people are gonna know that you're building towards something bigger. Maybe they don't know what it is, they're gonna see it, they're gonna understand, and that's what they wanna follow, because they want what you want, they want what you see. So if you've got it in, if there's no film in the projector, right, then they can't see anything. So here's a couple things that you can do. So when you go home tonight or tomorrow, I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to say, ask yourself, what do you want? And get the answer, write it down. And then ask, what do you want? Get the answer, write it down. What do you want? And then ask one more time, what do you want? And you're gonna get a different answer each time. Then actually this is one of my favorite tools or exercises in a mastermind, is 7 levels deep. So once you get those answers, then ask yourself over and over, why do I want that? And then ask again 7 times, but why do I want that? But why do I want that? When you do that, you're gonna actually get to the heart of exactly why. And that's the kind of stuff that's gonna get you up every single day and keep you motivated and help you persevere and push through and inspire people and build the life and the business that you dream of.
So what's 7 levels deep? Do you understand the concept? So the first thing you do, you're gonna go to the mirror and you're gonna ask yourself the 4 questions. Same question, 4 different ways. Make sense? Has 4 different meanings, has 4 different answers, 4 different sets of answers. The thing that most people miss is the 7 levels, because the 7 levels is, when you say, what do you want? Well, I want a nice car. For what? Why? What do you want? Well, because I want to show people that I'm successful. Why is that? And you start going deeper and deeper and deeper. You start getting to the core of who you are. You start getting to the real meaning instead of just I want to look good and drive my fancy car. You want to start getting down to the core of who you really are. That's why that exercise is so powerful and so important. Okay, so let's talk about having a magnificent obsession. So I met Jim Rohn in 19-something or other. What was it? 70-something. Anyway, long time ago. And I sat in the room with him, and I remember him talking about having a magnificent obsession. Something that just lights you up, something that turns you on, something that won't let you sleep. I remember Gene and Brent and all of us, when Jay Kinder had that phrase that says, once you've seen this, you can't unsee it. Right? That means it's like, how many times, I remember a guy that I showed it to that Allison ended up talking to, and we brought him over, a big major agent. I think he had like a $140 million team. And this guy said to me, from the time that I talked to you, I watched video after video after video after video. He said, I could not sleep. EXP insomnia. But when that starts to take hold, you now have an obsession. But the obsession is an EXP. The obsession is the opportunity. The obsession is our ability to help people. The obsession is about others. At first, it might be taking care of ourselves, but the real obsession is about what we can do for others. So the key is, we talk about Brent and James and this group they've got, which, what's the real number, guys? I heard 25,000. Is that right? Okay, so it's exciting stuff, all right? Just say that it's exciting stuff. But let me ask you a question. Is that the real thing, or is it the 15,000 plus lives that they've touched? It's 30,000 people. They're not getting paid on all of them. It's 30,000 freaking lives that they've touched. That's the obsession. Are you that committed that you're willing to go through what's hard, what's tough, the no's, all the things that you've heard about for 3 days? Are you willing to go through that? People turning you down, slamming the phone, making fun of you, hating your company, telling you you're a pyramid. Are you willing to go through all that stuff? And if you're obsessed, then the answer is, if you're obsessed, the answer is,
yes.
They've been a little quiet the whole 3 days, Gino. So today, I want you to really think about your obsession, because the obsession that you've got, this thing that won't let you rest, that keeps you moving, that keeps you going, that keeps you, you know, I loved it when, was it Jay that said, I'm working 7 days? No, it wasn't Jay. Somebody else said, I'm working 7 days a week.
Chuck.
Who?
Chuck and Angela.
Chuck and
Fazio.
Angela. Chuck said, I work 7 days. We work 7 days. I will tell you, I mean, sometimes it's hard for Gene to get us to go play golf or to go do some of the fun stuff, because I'm like, we're still working 7 days a week. We're still in it. You know, we're still doing that stuff. We're not in that same place. We're working. Many of you are too, right? We're not at a place where we can rest. We're not at a place where we get to go play some of the stuff that we want to play. And yet, the obsession keeps driving us. And we love it so much. Do you love it that much? She's hired. We're going to take her everywhere. So we've got to have a magnificent obsession and create a relationship with people that is really more important than the money and anything else that we've got.
All right.
Let's talk about commitment.
Let's talk about commitment. So tennis great Martina Navratilova said the difference between involvement and commitment is like eggs and ham. The chicken is involved and the pig is committed. He's got to show this. Like, really? Right? So are you all in? Are you like the little pig over there? So let me share something with you. I want to share something that we use in our Expert Partners Gateway to Mastery program. And I want you to listen with your heart and let this be yours. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Really let this sink in and own this. This is called Commitment by Cherie Carter Scott. Commitment is what turns dreams into realities. Your choice is what you want, and your commitment is what allows you to have it. This is the process. Number 1, you look to see what you want. Number 2, you choose it. Number 3, you commit to it. Commitment makes choice real. Commitment means this is going to happen, and I am going to be the one that causes it to happen. It means doing what you say you will do and having what you want, no matter what the obstacles. You can commit to anything, a person, a job, a way of life, losing 10 pounds, or a way to spend your weekend. It doesn't matter what you commit to. What matters is the relationship you develop with yourself by committing to what you want. When you commit, you know you can be counted on to do what you say you will do and to have what you want. For people who have a strong investment in not getting what they want, commitment is extremely uncomfortable and sometimes painful. The painful part is letting go of the attachment to not getting what you want. Commitment means putting all of your resources behind the things that you've chosen, putting all of your eggs in one basket. Commitment means no more holding back, no more waiting to see if someone or something better will come along. No more complaining about the obstacles, and no more waiting for someone else to do it for you. Commitment is not passive, complacent, or hopeful. It is active and determined. Commitment means getting out there and making it happen. It means putting 100% of you on the line and going for it. No reason can stop you when you're committed. When you have committed to someone or something, there's no more confusion or doubt. You have direction, focus, and purpose. Commitment gives you freedom, and it gives you great power. Commitment means that you back yourself and you stand totally behind your choices. Commitment means giving yourself all the power in your life. It means being committed to you.
Wow. Russ, how many days do you read that? How many times a day do you read that?
It's up on my wall to my right all the times a day for over a year since we first installed that.
Yeah. Andrew? I've looked online. I have never found, I know the author. I've talked to the author. I've never found it online. If you send us, go to Instagram, you can direct message us, or you can just find us on Workplace, and we can send it over to you.
We could put it on the Brink of Workplace group if you want. Is that good? Okay.
Yep,
That
that'd
way-
be fine too. So I want you to think about commitment. Are you that committed? Are you that committed? What are you building? Oh, that's a really interesting, okay, I'm glad you said that. So let me ask you a question. Are you building a real estate business? Are you building a real estate company? What are you building? You building something for others? You building a dynasty? Are you building a real estate business? So let me just put you in a perspective. We fly a lot. We're on airplanes. I'm pretty friendly. Usually I talk to people around me. Not always, but most of the time. And so, you know, I might say to you, where are you from? Where are you flying? Roseville. So is that home or are you leaving? That's home. So what do you do? Oh, in real estate. Okay. So that's interesting. What's your name? Clark. What do you do? What do you do? If I'm asking the same question, go through and you're going someplace, and then what do you do? Okay, how do you do that? Okay, through an organization. How do you do that? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, that sounds like a lot of good stuff. How about you? What do you do for a living? How do you do that? Okay. All right, so do you help people or do you help realtors? Great. So I have a question for you. What would happen if you were to ask that question? And the answer to the question was, Allison and I are building a real estate business, a very large real estate company. We've got a dynamic, growing company in 37 states and 4 countries. And so when they ask me that question, right, what do you do? I don't say I'm a realtor. We don't say we sell houses. We don't say I'm in real estate. And we also don't go through all the gyrations around the fact that we're in real estate. We're building a large real estate company. My wife, we call ourselves husband and wife just because it's easier than going, well, my significant other or whatever it is, the person I sleep with, right? It's just a lot easier than that. So when we say, you know, my wife and I are building a very large dynamic real estate company. We're in 37 states and 4 countries, and they go, wow. Now I have a question for you. Which is better positioned? I'm a realtor. Oh, one of those. I know 10,000 of those. Oh, they're everywhere. Oh, one of those. Or you're a freaking owner of a dynamic, gigantic real estate company, which, by the way, if I was thinking about selling a house, I might even call you and say, hey, do you have somebody who could help us? Because you're a real estate company owner. Which one's better? Okay, so did you write that down? Did you catch the notes? So what's the idea? What do we really have? Who are you? What do you do? What do you do? Joseph, what do you do? An international real estate company. Great, I love that. What do you do, Andrew? I'm an owner of an international real estate company. How many of you like the elevation that you just got in like seconds? Same thing you've been doing, but now you just have a different position, yes? Okay, before we go on and we finish up here, there's the commitment piece, by the way. That's what it looks like. You'll see it. We'll post it. We're going to finish up with this one. So this is where we want to finish. It says, think big, play to win, and take massive action. Come up here. Stand right here in this crowd, right here.
Okay.
Perfect. So, think big. How many think you, so you know one of the things I thought about when, and Chris, you said it when you spoke earlier, you said, you know, sometimes I feel like teaching is the best way to learn. And I was thinking, really when I was writing some of the stuff we were going to talk about, I was like, this is the stuff. I was going to say something different. This is the stuff I need to hear, right? This is my kick in the butt. So, do I think too small? You betcha. I'm inspired by people like Gene and Brent and James and the people that are in this room that are so big, that have done so much. I'm inspired by that, but am I thinking the same? Not yet. Not yet. But how important is our thinking to our results? If we think bigger, do we have a better chance of being bigger? Yes or yes? Absolutely. So then I want you to think about this idea about this taking massive action, because when I met Jim Rohn, he said that there's a word that goes along with it. Tony uses this in his seminars now. He talks about action. What kind of action? Massive action. So if you're going to take action, you're going to make calls. Russ, where are you? How many calls a day do you make? How many hours a day do you, whichever is easier for you, whichever you can. Okay. So he runs so he's running 15 hours a week of nothing but calls. He's growing. He just said to me as I walked by, he's like, add another one today, add another one today. He's at 90, heading to 100. He'll be at 100 probably this next week. I know, right there. By next year, that'll be how many? By the end of the year, how many will that be? And by the year afterwards, how many is that going to be?
40 FLQAs, so says my dear friend Brent.
So are you that committed, and will you take that much action? And here's the thing I want you to really think about. When you start really playing with the numbers and you start thinking about where you are, where are you? Well, I'm sitting in the most amazing opportunity that's ever been created in real estate. I'm taking massive action. What kind of action? Massive action. What does that mean? I'm making calls, I'm meeting people, I'm doing social, I'm going to events, I'm creating events, I'm doing everything I possibly can. Why? Because I'm obsessed. I have a magnificent obsession. My goal is to help a lot of people. Who wants to join? Who's in? Okay. So, who's really all in? Turn to your neighbor and say to them with compassion and passion, I'm all in. Go ahead. I'm all in.
All in.
I'm all in.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
That was impressive, but not done yet. Stand up and tell them. Stand up and tell them again. I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in.
I'm all in.
Brent, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. I'm all in too. Look at, he's got goosebumps. All right, stay standing. Let's talk about this. So we're going to finish up with a couple things. So one of the things I know is when you're all in, and by the way, write this down, even standing, write this down, give yourself permission to fly. Who holds you back? Because it ain't Brent. It ain't Gene. It certainly isn't Allison or myself. Who holds you back? Allow yourself to fly. Jim Rohn told me years ago, he had a phrase, and if you've never heard this, write this down too. He said, you can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's powerful. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. Don't dare sit yet. We're not done. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. And I love that, and I shared that. I mean, I've shared that. I've spoken for 1.5, 1.6 million realtors in my life. I've shared that probably with 1 million of them. I love that because I believe that when we change us, it changes everything. Do you believe that too? Yes. And then I changed it one day because I heard something and I thought, you know what? It's really not, you can have more than you've got when you become more than you are. What's true is you can have more than you've got when you remember who the heck you are. You already are that. Do you understand that you were created in God's likeness, that God created you for greatness, not for lack, not for bad, not for awful, not for tough. God created you for greatness. God don't create no junk. You ain't junk. So if you're holding yourself back, that's against God, because God has intentions much higher than that for you. How many follow me? So when you start thinking about elevating yourself and you start thinking about lifting yourself and flying, I'm going to fly. I'm ready to fly. You ready to fly? Who's ready to fly? Yeah. Turn to your neighbor and tell him, I'm ready to fly. Are you? I'm ready to fly. Are you? Woo! I'm ready to fly. I was sitting in a theater one night watching a movie, which, by the way, if you're going to be doing events and team events and any of that, the movie was called Coach Carter. How many have seen the movie? Yes. Okay, if you have not seen it, put it on like your emergency, gotta see it tonight, tomorrow at the latest. Go see it. It's a basketball movie, but it's not about basketball, is it? Right? If you've seen it, you know, ain't about basketball. It's about values, it's about bigness, it's about stepping into it. And this man, Coach Carter, who actually existed in Northern California, where some of you are probably from, around that area, real deal, Coach Carter really took a team of people, kids that were at risk and high risk areas, and turned them into a team and championships, and taught them things, taught them about themselves. And I was watching the movie, and I'm a basketball fan. I'm a huge basketball fan. I had half court seats, 15 rows up for all of the Kobe Shaq era, all of that. I mean, I'm a huge basketball fan. So I'm sitting in the theater watching this movie going, crap, this is awesome. And this kid at the end, if you remember the movie, at the end, Coach Carter's sitting with his students, and they're sitting there, and the one of them stands up, and he starts saying stuff to Coach Carter. He has this, like, he's holding him in honor. And he said, Coach. And he started saying some words, and I'm sitting in the theater, and I start bawling like a baby. It was just beautiful. Like, where'd those words come from? Somebody wrote one heck of a script. So I Google part of it. I just catch one phrase, and boom, up it comes. And it's tracked to Nelson Mandela. 1993, he is inaugurated as the president of South Africa, and those were the words he used in his inauguration speech. So then I go around the country, and I'm reading this thing, and I'm reading this thing, and I'm reading this thing to people, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's powerful. And then somebody came up and said, it's not his. He didn't do it. It took it from somebody else. And he took it from Marianne Williamson in her book called A Return to Love. Assignment, you should read the book. I wish I had written this, but I want to share it with you. You ready? I want to share it with you because it touched me so much and has become part of my life for so long now. The piece is called Our Deepest Fear. You have probably heard it before. If you've heard it before, play along. If you haven't heard it before, just listen very much from the heart. She said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us, and it's not just in some of us. It's in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others. If I had thought about it, I would have written that. What a gift. You are bigger than you know. You are greater than you can imagine. We need to become obsessed in giving to other people the gift that we've been given. Thank you for inviting me to play at the party. If it wasn't for her being Agent 641, I wouldn't get to be here today. If it wasn't for these guys, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you all.